Welcome to another episode of the podcast. This is our ninth episode in season one, and we're super excited for our guest today. I'm Andre Wright, your host, and
I'm Anne-Marie Giglio. You're also your host.
Our guest today is an experienced IT executive providing IT services to business for over 20 years. Today we are happy to have Deborah Phillipeck of 1IX. Deb, how are you?
I'm good. How are you both?
Doing great.
I'm
Glad
great.
you're here.
Great. We're so glad to have you today. So Deb, to get this going, tell us a bit about your background and how you started the business.
So we opened up the business in 1996. Both my business partner and I were executives in the IT division at Macy's department store. So my business partner, Jim, was senior vice president of pretty much all of IT services, and then I was a vice president that worked underneath him. So in 1996, through some management changes at Macy's, we left and decided to do what we were doing for Macy's for small and medium businesses in the Atlanta metro area.
Wow. So it was Macy's in Atlanta or Macy's in New York?
Well, the Macy's IT division was in Atlanta. It's off of Peachtree and Sugarloaf up there in the Duluth area.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah, so yeah, it was a separating division of Macy's and provided all of IT for all of the stores and all of the logistics department, credit department, etc., buying department.
That must have been huge. How many, what were you, like, what are some numbers? What were you?
I know Jim had, I want to say 1,000 direct reports. I had about 600 underneath me.
Wow.
Because we had both, point of sale technicians, network technicians, computer technicians. I mean, there were lots of people that were located at each separate store division, whether it was Bloomingdale's or Macy's or all the various operating divisions across the United States.
Okay, that explains. Yeah, sorry, Andre. That explains why anytime I've heard you talk, it always sounds like it's just the tip of the iceberg for what you actually know. Like I always thought that you knew a ton more than you were telling. So that explains it. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, we really came from an enterprise background, but we had a really good, solid relationship with Microsoft. Macy's was their beta tester for a lot of things, like the actual first exchange email platform. Macy's was the beta tester for it.
Wow.
So we used to go up to Redmond several times a year and meet with Bill Gates and all the top people at Microsoft. And so when we left, we maintained a lot of those relationships, and they came to us and they said, we want you to start the small and medium business products for Microsoft. They were trying to downsize their enterprise products so that small businesses would be able to afford them and put in place servers where they couldn't before. So that's where we really started. I think that product started in 1999.
So that with all that extensive experience, so the transition would have been a bit easy, would you say?
Well, we certainly had the knowledge, yes, but I mean, it was different. We had to definitely become more hands-on than we were before. Before we had, a lot of technical, hundreds of technical people below us that we were trusting to do things. And so we actually educated ourselves and became quite a bit more technical, really deeply technical, so that we could do things alongside of our people. So
and supervise them at the same time.
And supervise them.
Really understand. Right. Yeah.
For example, I went and did the state of Georgia low voltage testing certification, which is a horrendous course and test. But our feeling was that if we had an employee do it and that employee left down the road, then we wouldn't be able to do that aspect of business anymore. But if I went and got tested and got certified, then we would always have that certification for the company.
Why do you need that? What is that?
Well, that allows us to legally pull a permit and run the data cables in a new office, for example.
Oh, important.
So Yeah, I mean, it's certainly if you're not getting inspected, you don't need to pull a permit and you can kind of do it ad hoc. But we were doing some new construction projects for our customers and we couldn't set foot on it unless we were licensed. So that was important for us. So we offer, basic computer repair service, software repair service, and maintenance service for your computers. And then we also offer servers and networking. So if you have a file server where you have shared data, or you have a terminal server that has an application, for example, QuickBooks. If you have a company that uses QuickBooks for your financial product, if you have that on one person's machine, it's pretty difficult to share it if you have 3 or 4 accountants in your team. But if you put it on a server, then it's securely shared to those team members of the accounting department. And so that's one example why you would want a server. A lot of people are using cloud-based services now. So we also deal with that, whether it's email or whether it's hosted servers. We host many QuickBooks servers for very small companies in the cloud, in the 1IX cloud, for example.
Do you think that's more for the smaller business that they'd want to do the cloud? Because how many computers do you need to make an in-house server reasonable or effective or efficient?
Yeah, I would say, 5 to 10, it really depends on what you're doing. And some of these people, for example, we have a customer, a manufacturing customer that they're actually located in Washington State and Idaho. And so they don't have a formal office, but they use QuickBooks. And there's 4 of them that need to access this QuickBooks data for invoicing and purchase orders and sales information. And so we host their server for them here in Atlanta. And they access, each one of them accesses that information remotely. And we manage it and handle for them whatever they need from both security, we maintain the server, we help them if they have any issues, and then we back up their data for them.
Wow.
But other companies that are larger might have a server on site. It might be more cost effective if they have 10 or 15 people that are accessing from a central location. Then it's a little bit more cost effective for them to have hardware.
Would that be like a law office or a CPA firm or something like that? Is that what you're?
Right. Like a CPA firm might definitely have more people on staff, and not only more people, but more different accounting products. They might have different tax products and different. They might use Peachtree for one customer and QuickBooks for another customer. So that might be more conducive to having a server on site. And then also we have an architect that has a lot of graphics, large graphics files. And so it really is a lot of bandwidth for them if they're pulling things across. So them having a server on site where they can almost instantly pull up their large CAD CAM projects.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, fantastic. And Deborah, I know that you guys have clients all over the country, but what are some of the industries that you work with?
So we work with lawyers, manufacturing, nonprofits, professional services, a lot of professional services clients being accountants, CPAs, architects, marketing and public relations. We also work with education. One of our largest clients is a tutorial for high school, mostly SAT, ACT testing, and then they do some subject level tutorial. But they have 200 locations nationwide that we totally are help desk, server manager, infrastructure, everything for them.
So the COVID should help them. I mean, if they cultivate that, it seems like it would be a nice revenue stream to develop at this point.
Yes and no.
Not SAT so much, but the coursework.
Right, the coursework definitely. However, it's interesting because they were not doing any online before. So we had to put a product into place. They picked Adobe Connect. And so we've got that in place. And of course, they are now doing online teaching. But what they're finding is some age groups really don't do well with online teaching. They can't stay focused. You know, the older high school and college students certainly is much more uh, able to understand online teaching and be focused and get the lessons planned. But your younger students seem to have, you know, face-to-face seems to be more suitable for them.
Yeah, there's the different kinds of learners, right? There's the oral learner, the visual learner, the tactile learner. The tactile learner is completely left out of online, except for
Exactly.
keyboard, you know, so that is a huge challenge. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
But so clearly you're different from other IT companies, at least the ones I've been meeting for the last 10 years. You seem to be very diverse and versatile.
We, you know, we really enjoy getting into our customers' back offices. So we have veterinarians where we have learned the veterinary software programs that they use, or of course, QuickBooks and Peachtree Sage and SAP, all of those, Microsoft Dynamics. We've had to learn those products. You know, some of them, like the CAD CAM products that our architect uses, we assist them with it, but we don't get involved in some of that. But it's really interesting to see how we can recommend process improvements to some of our clients by just, you know, observing and then maybe bringing to the table something that another accountant is doing that they hadn't thought of.
So how has COVID been affecting you, you know, in terms of your clients or just you guys yourselves?
Well, we're considered essential services, so we never really started working from home. We've always been able to come into the office. Our office building has been empty other than us for months, but we've fortunately have a very good sized office, so we're able to socially distance from each other. And we did have a couple of people that work from home normally, so that was easy for us. So we really haven't seen much on the COVID side of it for 1IX from our viewpoint, other than we were really, really busy the first couple of months helping of all our companies move to a remote situation and getting their staff people set up for remote access and secure remote access, or pushing data up to the cloud so that it could also be accessed remotely.
Yeah, was security a huge challenge? Because I remember that in the beginning, people were talking about that a lot.
Yeah, security has definitely been a challenge. I mean, if you look at, online crimes reported to the FBI, they've quadrupled since COVID came out. They used to be like 1,000 reported per day, and it's moved up to like 4,000.
Wow.
And there's been a 240% increase in cyber attacks in the financial sector and banking. And what's most incredible that affects small businesses is there's been a 667% increase related in spear phishing attacks in just March. I mean, the month of March was the last figures I've seen on it. I think hackers are taking advantage that I can't just walk down the hall and ask my supervisor if he really sent me this email asking me to go buy gift cards. You know, I now have to reach out to him either, either on the phone or, email. I mean, the email could be hijacked. So I might reach out to my supervisor who's emailing me, and the hacker is answering for this supervisor because he's hijacked the email and he's saying, yes, I really am this person. I've asked you to go do this. And it's not, really the supervisor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned about these risks, and just this week, there's been a cyber attack on the COVID-19 Vaccine Research Center. So it has been increasing.
That's pretty low.
So from where you're sitting, what can business owners do at this point to ensure that they're, to reduce these risks?
Yep, there's a few things they can do. With phishing and hacking and email things, of course, having a spam filter really helps. We're partners with a company called Sophos, and what they do is they can filter. So any companies that use Office 365 or Gmail, G Suite, or even have their own email servers, email goes first through Sophos and is filtered and then sent on to the individual recipient. Any questionable email is quarantined, and it prevents, people from getting malware. But employee education is really key to getting employees just to be responsible for becoming aware of malware and hacking schemes. We can also, with Sophos or even with Office 365, run what's called as a phishing campaign, where we can mock up a campaign that sends all to your employees saying, "Hi, this is your payroll company. I have a direct deposit request from you, and I just want to confirm it. Click here to confirm that." And it looks almost real, but if they're paying attention, they should really either call HR and say, "Is this something I should click on? Is this something that you sent to me?" And if they do click on it, then that's noted in the background, and that employee then gets education and a webinar that they get sent to educate on how they could better check to see if this is a scam or not. So
yeah, it sounds like companies now need a new like COVID protocol for security that everyone has to follow then, right?
Right,
so
for sure.
Like, instead of the CDC, it's the 1IX protocol.
Right. I mean, we've told companies that you really need to put a verbal confirmation in effect. If an accounting CFO asks an employee to buy gift cards or to wire the money or to do something, that employee needs to verbally contact the person who requested it and confirm that. Because I mean, the employees need to be educated and responsible. They need to take some level of responsibility.
And you're perfectly right. And these hackers are getting more and more sophisticated by the day, and IT systems are ever changing. So how do you keep current in your industry?
So our partnerships with Microsoft and Sophos, and we're also partners with Veeam Backup, which is a software backup for desktops, laptops, servers, email, etc. They provide ongoing webinars for us and certification classes. For example, the malware Sophos that we use, we're required to have 2 certified engineers on our staff. So many of these companies require us to maintain our certifications. And that's how we keep current. We also do a lot of research just in the background as we're looking for new products to take care of upcoming issues. As you said, things change constantly.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, Deborah, I want you to talk about the cloud and why it's important for organizations to have an effective backup system today.
So both Microsoft Office 365 and G Suite, people are impressed by the fact that your data is available, 99.9% of the time. And that's true. Through their server redundancy, you can get to your email or to your OneDrive or to your G Suite drive 99.9% of the time, and that's great. But if you look in the fine print, the customer is responsible for their data, which means if you have an employee who accidentally deletes a file, or if you have an employee who, walking out the door, maliciously deletes files, or if you get a ransomware attack and your files are corrupted, Office 365 or G Suite is not going to restore that. They do not have backups of that data. So as a customer, you need to make sure you have backups of that data. And cloud backups are good, but we also highly recommend offline backups. So with our Veeam product, we back you up to 1IX servers, and we back you up usually to a local device at your company, so that either way we have backups.
That's pretty thorough.
Yeah. You can't be too thorough when it comes to backing up data.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So in terms of virus protection software, I know there are many virus protection software out there, but tell us about the better ones, and what would you recommend?
So as I've said, we're partnered with a company called Sophos, and we tested many software. And for the larger company, Sophos is great. They have a whole suite of products. You don't have to buy them all. So if you want Endpoint, which is a software for your laptop or desktop or server, you can purchase that. If you want a spam email software, you can purchase that. You can purchase encryption. So Sophos is a great product. They also run the phishing campaigns. For our smaller clients, we really like to see Malwarebytes, but the paid version. And we used to recommend Malwarebytes free version, but Malwarebytes has kind of changed their policy so that you can download a free version of Malwarebytes for a home user, but they won't clean your computer anymore. They won't quarantine it unless you actually pay for it. And the paid version of Malwarebytes will protect you if you actively click on something that has viral content to it. The free version doesn't do that either. So it won't protect you from your accidentally clicking on malware.
What do you mean it can protect you? If you've already clicked on it, how does that work? How can it protect you?
So if you have a paid version and you click on it, usually what happens is that malware phones home to get the encryption key or to get the software to download to you. As soon as it tries to do that, Malwarebytes says, no, it won't let you.
Okay.
So it says, this malware is trying to, it's malware. And so it prevents you from going there.
Yeah, nice. It interrupts. That's great. I didn't know that it could do that.
Only the paid version will do that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's great. That's good to know.
Yeah, that's good to know. And Deb, if you can tell our listeners, what are some of the most common phishing emails that we should look out for, or some cues?
Beware.
That we should look out for.
So the first thing that you really need to be observant at, in fact, we got a couple emails from some of our clients this week, is a technique called spoofing, which is your email has not been hacked, but what they've done is they've got a Gmail address, and they may go create a Gmail address. I'll use corematters@gmail.com. And they take that and they configure it. So the first thing it says is Anne Marie Julio, and it's in front of it. And so if they're sending that to their employees, if Anne Marie sends something to her employees saying, please go buy these gift cards, the employee really needs to look past Anne Marie's name and look at the back end of that email address, because it's probably not corematters.com. They've made it look like Anne Marie, but it really isn't. So they need to be observant and see what the full email address is that they receive this email from.
So is that a typical scam, that there's a fake email and you're going to send your information to that?
Yeah, because you're not paying attention. You've seen it says my supervisor's name, and you're responding to your supervisor. You didn't see it said my supervisor's name, and the back end isn't my company email, but it's, supervisor's name @gmail.com, because it's not her real address. Right. Yeah. There are several techniques where you may get an email saying, we have a purchase order for you. Please click on it to get it. And you think it's legit. And when you click on it, it asks for your email address and password. And so you log in thinking that that's legit. Well, now they've captured your email address and password. They then do go in and hack your mailbox and start sending from your email box as you. Not only that, but as a secondary thing, they put a rule in your email box so that any incoming email is deleted or diverted to a folder that you never look at, like archive or RSS feed. So when people email you back and say, hey, Anne-Marie, did you really mean to send me this? You never see it because it's been deleted. Okay.
That's
so
clever.
you don't know that your email box has been hacked until somebody actually calls you and says, you know, your email box is just sending out spam like crazy. And then you call us and we go in and fix it for you.
So is the point that that stuff, it must still work. I guess it still works. They can still spam and successfully make money because of the numbers, right? They're sending, how many?
It must still work, yeah.
There's like billions of emails a day and all you need is 0.001%.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah. Well, look, you know, the Twitter hack that happened yesterday.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, where what I think before they shut down some of those accounts, they were, you know, in receipt of over $100,000 from people who thought Bill Gates was actually going to match their contribution.
Yeah. It's very clever.
These guys are getting really sophisticated and trying to get you in all different kind of ways. But Deborah, we're kind of running out of time now. But I want you to talk to our visitors about outsourcing IT. I know you talk on one of your blogs about the importance of outsourcing IT. So tell our audience why this is important today.
So typically, customers under 50 really can't afford their own IT staff. If they do have, you know, a single person IT staff, typically that person is underutilized and becomes bored quickly, and so there tends to be a lot of turnover. Plus, it's just not efficient from a budgetary standpoint. So 1IX can come, you know, be your managed service provider and assist you when you need it, and manage your servers, manage your malware software, manage your backups, and we can take care of, you know, all of that for you. Again, if you have the one IT staff person, they're usually not available after hours or certainly when they go on vacation. So we provide that coverage. We're really available 24/7. We have a team of people. We're not just one person. And so we can do that for you. Also, we find a lot of times in smaller companies, usually the business owner is trying to do IT stuff and it's distracting him from his primary business. So, you know, it's taking hours away from him that he could be marketing or building his business. And it's also often providing frustration for him because he may not have the technical skills to do all of that. So that's why we really, you know, would like to come in and provide managed services for our clients.
You come in and do a consult with them first and then do an
Absolutely. Because not all of our clients, you know, the one person lawyer or, you know, the one person home fitness or doesn't necessarily need ongoing managed services. They may just need to call us when they have an issue. And that's fine with us too. We don't, you know, insist that everybody go to a managed service program. We often just do for our smaller clients that call us when you need us program.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Fantastic. Deb, thank you so much for joining us today. And before we go, I want you to tell our listeners, how can we reach you?
So you can either call us at our office. Our number is 770-325-7325, or you can email us at info@1ix.com.
Great. I'm so glad you could come. This has been awesome. We didn't even get to talk about the Russians yet, so you'll have to come back.
Thank you. It's been really great. Thank you for both inviting me.
Fantastic.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, stay safe.
Be safe, yeah.
Bye.